about Shanghai Surprise, and I don't know whether you've seen the British reviews, but the British reviews haven't actually been as bad as the American ones. They've reacted the other way. You've obviously seen the film.
Yeah.
Are you disappointed with it?
Extremely.
What went wrong, do you think?
The man who directed it really didn't have an eye for the film, for the big screen. He's a, television director. And I think he just was in over his head. He didn't know what he was getting himself into. And MGM really wanted to make an action film like Raiders of the Lost Ark, but the script was actually a very personal love story between two people. And while we were shooting it, they kept sending in pages and pages of scripts of more action. And Sean and I didn't agree to do a movie like that. We wanted to do a movie that was about a love story, not about an adventure. Unfortunately, it was edited as if it were an adventure, and it's not. And they left out all the important stuff about a relationship, which was really the saving grace of the film. I mean, we really wanted it to be like African Queen, or like one of those old romantic movies. And that's what we envisioned when we read the script, because we thought it was very well written, but the execution of it just wasn't up to par.
It obviously upsets you.
Yeah, because it was very, very hard work doing that movie.
Was it?
Extremely.
How so?
Because I was in a foreign country. And China, being in China is about as foreign as you can get. And we were working with Chinese crews, and the weather was very, very bad, and I was very cold, walking around in, these little thin cotton blouses. And there was always communication problems, and I was always getting sick from the food, and it was very long hours, and where we were shooting, where we were living, was hours and hours away. It was just such hard work, you can't believe it. It was really grueling, and there was a lot of tension on the set, between the director and all the actors, and it was just endless tension, and I just kept thinking, well, maybe this means it's going to be good, because I've worked so hard, I worked my butt off, and felt that I'd grown a lot as an actress in it, but I also feel that can't really see that the way it's edited. They edited all of my major scenes down to nothing, where I explain my character, why I'm there. The way that the movie's cutting out just seems like I'm this airhead girl who didn't really have a reason and just decided to go on a whim to China. I also really wanted to do a movie that was the complete opposite of Desperately Seeking Susan, because that character was very close to my personality, and so many people said, oh, well, she was great, but can she act? I mean, she was just playing herself. So I really wanted to challenge myself and play something that was very different from me, which is a missionary and really uptight girl who can't express herself, So, and I'm disappointed, yes, because I worked very hard, but once again, I learned a lot from it, so.
I guess you also learned a lot about the press from it, too.
Oh, yeah, that's the other. I was even talking about addressing that issue. Yeah, when we got to England, it was like the Third World War,
Why, do you think?
Because Sean and I make good press. I don't know. Because Sean has a reputation of getting in fights with photographers and stuff, and he's easily provoked, and he has a bad temper, and they knew that. And
did they provoke you and him?
Oh, yes. You know that. You live in England.
I have lived in England long enough to accept it, and also accept that since I live in England, people will give me the benefit of the doubt. What worried me on your behalf was that you had to leave England at a time when they were giving you a very tough time, and so you didn't have a chance to say, hang on, just calm down. Because the circus...
Well, I tried to do that when I did the press conference with George Harrison, but I really felt that George Harrison didn't give me the chance to speak. I felt that he kept putting his foot in his mouth, and my mouth.
Yeah.
I felt like he was very provocative in his statements. I feel like he was saying all the wrong things to calm people down, but I really couldn't say that much, I mean, I tried to, and in the end, I think, it was more beneficial than if I hadn't done it, but it still didn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish.
In fairness, I think George was trying, but I just think he's a little out of touch now with that sort of thing.
I mean, the thing is, you just can't be your regular self with those people. You if you've got a peculiar sense of humor, they're not going to get your jokes. You know what I mean? You really have to have your armor on to do it. You know, you have to know what you get. You have to really plan and think about every word that comes out of your mouth with them.
Is it worse in England, do you think, than it is here?
Yeah, definitely. Because it's so much smaller country, and that's, you know, I mean, everybody reads those papers here. You really only read that stuff if you're in New York or LA, you know.
Is that going to stop you working again in the British film industry?
No, not at all.